Finance Secretary, let's start with income tax. You say that 55% of people in Scotland will pay less than they would if they were living and earning the same in England.
Well, that's correct. Those are the forecasts, and because we've focused on raising the basic and intermediate rate threshold, and we've done that for 2 years, it's about 11% rise over the 2 years. That means that those at the lower end of the income thresholds are going to be better off. And if you combine that with social security supports, those in the lower half of the income distribution model, between tax and social security, will be about £480 a year better off. So that
those in the upper half will pay a lot more extra than that, won't they?
75% of taxpayers will see no change to
from
their
where
tax
they are just now,
from the freeze in the higher rate threshold. So 75% of taxpayers will see no change. But we do have a progressive tax system. It means that as people move up the tax rates and bands, that they do pay a bit more. But it's part of the social contract in terms of what they get.
So where's the point? What's the earnings point where they start paying more in Scotland than they would if they were in England?
Well, it changes each year to year. I think it's about
what is it going to be for next year?
£33,500.
So if you're earning more than £33,500 in Scotland, you're paying more than tax.
Well, but then you have to take social security into account there as well. So people, because of the social security supports that they get, people in the lower half of the income distribution modelling, so that will be at a different rate, will get £480 better off than they would be if they lived elsewhere. And of course, that's before you start looking at the social contract with tuition fees.
But if you're earning more than £33,500 in Scotland, you're paying more tax.
Well, it's very marginal tax difference.
But that's the cut-off point, isn't it? That's the point where you start paying more tax in Scotland. It's not a particularly high salary for a lot of people. Well, it takes into account most of the public service.
Well, and of course our public servants here, though, are paid more. So if you look at the pay of a nurse, of a teacher or a police officer, they are paid more than they would be south of the border. And after tax, they are better off than they would be south of the border. But the social contract is important here. So what people get for the tax that they pay are free tuition, free prescriptions, free bus travel, they get investment in public services, the Scottish Child Payment is there. These are supports not available anywhere else in the UK. So yes, we expect people to contribute a bit more, but for that they get a social contract with all of these supports.
You also talked about, in your budget speech today, making £1.5 billion of public sector efficiencies. You're cutting jobs, aren't you?
So we've been really clear that the public sector requires to change and it needs to be smaller.
So you're cutting jobs?
And we've said that we're going to prioritise the front line. That means that there will need to be change to the way corporate services are delivered, some of the back office functions, the way our services are constructed, whether that's our health boards, whether it's shared services among local authorities. And many of our services, will need to change. They will need to change.
1.5 billion is a lot of efficiencies. It's a lot of job cuts, isn't it? How many job cuts are you talking about in the public sector?
Well, it amounts to about 11,000 jobs.
That's a lot of jobs.
A lot of that will be through natural attrition. And we've said to the public sector that we want to do this on a natural attrition basis and a voluntary basis, and we think we can do that. But it does mean change, and that's the use of digital and automation. Services need to be delivered in a different way, but we need as much of that investment in public services to go to the front line. That will mean changes in our corporate costs.
One of the headline grabbers in your budget speech is the mansion tax. Does that mean a revaluation of properties right across Scotland?
Well, it will only be a revaluation at that end, so it will be at the higher end for properties worth over £1 million or £2 million. So this will be at the other end, the higher end of council tax. And the reason for that is that the council tax system needs to be more progressive, and this will affect not that many properties, but it will mean that they make more of a contribution, and that funding will be kept by local authorities authorities to invest in public services.
But not
it
a
won't-
revaluation across the board. People don't need to worry about
No,
that.
it'll be a revaluation at the higher end to make sure that those property owners of and those in properties of £1 million, £2 million will contribute a bit more, but it won't come in until 2028-29. I think most people will think that's reasonable if people are sitting in properties of that value.
You're not freezing council tax. You're not capping council tax. You're not scrapping council tax, which you promised long ago. What can people expect in terms of that from councils? What do you think would be reasonable from councils?
Well, you know, we have given a reasonable settlement to local governments. You know, it's still, there are pressures everywhere, so we understand that, but it is a reasonable settlement, and they've had a reasonable settlement over a number of years now. So we think that should enable them, given that a lot of the funding is being routed through the General Revenue Grant. That means it's discretionary. Councils have the flexibility to spend that how they want, and we think that should mean that they can constrain the level of council tax increases that they come forward to. Ultimately, though, these will be judgments for local authority administrations.
Mansion tax, taxing private jets. Is this quite a left-wing budget?
I think it's a balanced, sensible budget that the public in Scotland, I think, will have an understanding of and resonance with. It's asking
It's not a big election giveaway budget.
It's a balanced budget, a sensible budget, one that invests in public services, one that invests in the cost of living pressures to help families, but one that asks those with the broadest shoulders to pay a little bit more.
Finance Secretary, thanks for joining us in Scotland Tonight.